We are currently playing a repeat. Hello and welcome to another exciting and educating edition of the Health and Fitness Show. I'm your host Fahad Matin for today's show, and I hope and pray that all of us are fit and healthy by the grace of Almighty Allah. I do pray that all of us are fit and healthy, and definitely having a nice time. At least some of our guests do having a nice time. Uh, this program is broadcasting live from the studios of Inspire FM today on 19th of August 2021, and casting its positive vibes to all our lovely people in Luton and all the surrounding areas of Luton like Dunstable, Harpington, Bedford, and definitely going through our airways of digital platforms as well, so people can reach. It can be listened and viewed by the Inspire FM app and Facebook, and can be viewed by Facebook and YouTube channels. So, good evening and welcome to this exciting edition of the Health and Fitness Show. Now, today we are covering two different topics. Today, the first topic which we will be covering is the London GP London Marathon. So, when I said GP London Marathon, it's a very interesting twist because there are four Luton GPs are taking part in London Marathon. And on the second part of the show, we will be talking about circumcision. Yes, from another GP. So let's go to our very first topic, which is London, which is the London Marathon, which is four GPs taking part in London Marathon, and joining me today are three of those four GPs, and they are well known within the community. But let me give a quick intro about themselves. Joining me first is Dr. Baz Bahi. He's one of our GP from Woodland Avenue Surgery. Also joining me today is Dr. Talib AbuBakar from Bell Medical Center, and Monju Ahmed from Woodland Avenue as well. So good evening, guys.
Hi.
Assalamualaikum.
Welcome, Salam. How are you today?
So, legs are sore.
So,
Legs.
so can I ask you guys to give a quick introduction about yourself? So this is something which I've done on a very quick on the cuff. So why don't I ask you to give a quick introduction about yourself? So let's start with you, Baz.
Okay, well, I've been in Luton GP now for 26 years. In terms of what we're talking about today, in terms of the marathon, I've always tried to keep fairly active and fit. I'm not the most natural athlete, as my colleagues will tell you. I do a lot of sport, but probably a master of absolutely none of them. So I'd like to dabble in this and that. And I certainly like to promote a healthy lifestyle, and I try to lead by example. And that's one of the reasons why I sort of signed up for the marathon.
That's really good, really good. Now let's start. Let's ask another doctor. He's joining on a voice link. Dr. Manju Ahmed, to give a quick introduction about himself because it's his first time to the show.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. Thanks for having me today. My name is Dr. Monjo. I'm a GP in Luton. Actually, I work at Woodlands Avenue Practice as a partner. Dr. Baz just gave me a job recently. I was born in Luton, grew up in Luton, and I work quite closely with the Luton Lions Running Club, who are a locally established running club promoting sort of health and fitness throughout our local community. And the opportunity came up to do a marathon, and I thought this is just ridiculous because as much as I think I'm an athlete, I'm really not. So I signed up, and I sent Dr. Baz a message, and I said, you're signing up as well, and he did. So we ended up with four of us that decided to run the marathon, and that's it really.
That's always nice. That's always nice, and definitely a veteran runner who's well known for running in the community. When I say in the community, means you have already run a few marathons. Dr. Talib AbuBakar, Salam, sir.
Well, yeah, not very fast, but I've managed to get some done. I was involved with the Luton Lions about 2 years ago because I was really impressed with what they achieved, just non-runners running about 2 years earlier. 2 years earlier than that. and they raised lots of money for various charities. And because of 4 guys who did it, lots of people got involved. And so 2 years ago, 19 of us got involved to do the London Marathon for children with cancer. We raised, I think, over £90,000 between us. And it was fantastic because it really put Luton on the map. Certainly Children with Cancer UK were really happy with the group. And also other people saw the benefits of running and saw how much, I'd say fun, but it's not while you're doing it, but at the end, you know, the fun, the benefits that you get as a runner, but then also a knock-on effect for relatives and family. And then, so Luton, Love Luton half marathon and 10K, we had over 200 people turn up from certainly people attached to Luton Lions. And this year with the London Marathon, again, we're going for Children with Cancer UK, because a lot of charities have really suffered this year because of the COVID pandemic. So the guys have decided to run again for them. And I think we've got over 30, I think Dr. Ahmed might be able to correct me, I think over 30 people running. So we're all hoping to raise lots and lots of money for Children with Cancer UK.
Wow, that's a lot of people running together, I must say, for the bigger cause. So let's talk about the thing which Dr. Baz earlier said, the importance of healthy living. So can I ask you, every one of you individually, what is the importance of healthy living? So let's start with you, Baz, because you have raised this point already.
You know, as we know, I think, you know, just being active is one of the main ways to you know, keep your weight down, lower your blood pressure. There's lots and lots of added benefits. You know, many. I'm sure, you know, this shows. You know, you meet every week and you list the benefits of exercise, and you know you can't underrate what effective exercise it does. I mean, you know, my personal stories. You know, about 7 or 8 years ago, I was a little bit overweight and my blood pressure was slightly high. And even my sugar level was just borderline, and I thought, actually, this is not good. So I took up, you know, walking, you know, like proper mountain walking, a little bit of jogging, you know, and within 6 months, blood pressure had come down, blood sugars had come down, my weight had gone down, and you just feel a lot better. So, you know, there are huge benefits to very, very gentle exercise, even just being active. You know, you've got to combine that with obviously eating a relatively healthy diet. But you know, this is one of the reasons why I've maintained trying to keep active and trying to keep you know, do some sort of sport. Even now that I think certainly me and Talib are well over with the 50 age, heading rapidly towards 60, but you know, it still has you know, huge benefits still. So I would encourage you know, anyone, no matter how old and how unfit they think they are, you know, just being active at any age or at any sort of level will have some sort of benefit.
Wow, I must say you look much younger than myself in that sense, because the problems I have, Dr. Babak already know about it. But yeah, it's really hard to keep, I must say, keep self-active. Now, let's go to you, Banju, because it's your very first time as well going for marathon, I presume. Sorry, Manju, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So for me personally, I did the Love Luton a little while ago, the one that Dr. Talib mentioned, and the number of runners that turned out was amazing. And then obviously London Marathon was a virtual marathon last year, and I kept telling myself, you know, I think I can do it, but then I kept putting it off on a friend of mine. His name is Kudel, who you might know, Fahad. He did the marathon in a fantastic time. Actually, he started his training when he was about 150 kilos. And by the time he crossed the finishing line, I think he was just under 100. And I think what Kudel's story taught me, and especially being from the Luton community, is and COVID actually has highlighted that further, is black and minority ethnic people. And
I think so. Something goes wrong in Manju's, and he dropped out. Hopefully, he will join us back very shortly.
going to
Yeah.
say, Fahad, was that I think where there are in Luton there are health inequalities, totally in the BME community, and I think it's important for for our local community to do something about it. Monjo was probably going to mention the fact that in COVID times, the BME community were affected a lot more than other communities, and a lot of that was because they were overweight, and all had diabetes and so forth. So we've got the overall problem about trying to reduce health inequalities, and this is just one of the ways that this can be achieved. He mentioned this friend of his who's lost a significant amount of weight just through jogging. So I think that's one of the reasons that I think we're all the GPs that have taken part are taking part, is to lead by example.
Wow.
I've never run. I was never a serious runner up until about 3 or 4 years ago, and even then, most Talib can probably walk faster than I can. But once you get over that, it doesn't matter. I think one thing I learned is that you've got to you just race against yourself. And it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me that I'm overtaken by, people a lot older than me and a lot bigger than me. It doesn't matter. As long as you do it for yourself, and you just run at your own pace. That once you get over that, I think anything is a possibility. The marathon, the furthest I've run is a half marathon. So for me, it's going to be a huge challenge. And we're right in the middle of training at the moment, and it is a struggle. I won't say it's not, but I'm guided by people like Talib and inspired by people like Monjo, who's never run either, seriously. So we're sort of inspiring each other and taking advice from each other too about how to achieve our goal. I'm sure Talib will have a lot more to say about how to prepare for it.
And yes.
But yeah, I mean, I was going to talk about preparing perhaps later, but we are all designed to walk, majority of us who are fit and well, and walking to running isn't that much of a big jump. And when you see some of the guys who have never run before, and then certainly amongst the 19 of us last time who completed the marathon, the joy they got and the camaraderie between them and the knock-on effect to their family members who suddenly thought, hang on a minute, that person's lost a lot of weight, their blood pressure's dropped. We've had a couple who reversed their blood sugars just by doing a bit of training. And the beauty is you don't need to do a marathon to get that, just doing some exercise. And for me, what's been really pleasing is to see a lot of our colleagues, our community joining in, say, something like Parkrun, where it's not a marathon, it's 5K, but every Saturday, obviously it was closed over COVID, but it's restarted again. It's not on this Saturday, by the way, in case people are thinking about going, but next Saturday. It's been absolutely fantastic, and the joy for me is having tried to push exercise a lot amongst my patients, to see the number of all races, all communities being involved in something simple as Parkrun. And as Dora and I mentioned already, the Love Luton, it was just full of colour of people who decided to do a 10K or a half marathon, who've never done it before, and then suddenly got this bug of exercise. I work in Bury Park and live up in North Luton. Just driving home, I can see runners that you would never have thought that you would have seen before, and you can just see that there is enjoyment, and the health benefits are fantastic. Community spirit is fantastic. Spiritual health is fantastic, and you have a knock-on effect on your family members. So suddenly, your uncle wants to start running, or your aunt starts to want to do some exercise and things like that. So, it just, by taking example yourself, it has a knock-on effect. And one of the biggest things that people don't often forget is actually the mental well-being of exercise, because you're just out, and it doesn't matter whether it's running or any form of exercise, playing football with your mates, or just going for a walk with someone, a friend. You're doing double. You're not just having exercise, you're having social interaction with someone away from all the stresses and strains of normal life. And that's one of the biggest things. So a lot of my patients who've had mental illness are now doing parkrun, for example, and benefiting hugely from it.
Hmm. So, in terms of, I know it's how for people who do not know about marathon as such. How long is the running? How long what is the track long? How much miles you have to do for marathon, London Marathon, that is?
It's
You're asking.
26 miles.
So,
very, very far, or it's about 42 kilometers.
Don't forget the point two, Baz.
Oh, don't forget the point two, yeah. So it's about 42 kilometers.
42 kilometers.
I always put in kilometers because I prefer to see it to go down a little bit quicker. But yeah, I mean, it is a very long way. But it was interesting what Talib said about the park run. I think I first joined in, must be 3 or 4 years ago, and I think there were only about 70 or 80 people there that used to come regularly. But now the numbers have swelled up to 300-400, I would say, on some Saturdays. There's been a huge increase, and you can see the the smile on people's faces, and even when I go for my practice runs, the number of people that are out jogging and running. Some members of my family have started taking up running. Neighbours, just because they see me running, I think, yeah, okay, it's quite an inspirational thing to do, I think. Yeah, but it's a very, very long way. 2 miles.
Wow. So, in terms of the preparation, let's talk about preparation. I think so. Dr. Manju has a difficult connecting problem. He's dropping on and off. So, in terms of preparation, now, what is the preparation needed for the marathon? So let's. I think so, Manju just joined in. Manju, what preparation you have done, and then I'll ask Baz, and then I'll ask Talib, because I'm going in a direction of people who have done like a completely brand new newbie, i.e. Manju, Baz, who has done at least once, and Talib, who have done few. So Manju.
Thanks. Sorry, the phone keeps cutting off, guys. I'm really sorry about that.
No problem.
So,
No problem.
I started training at the end of May, start of June, and we've been just building up our runs on the weekend. Do 2 short runs every week during the weekdays, and on a Sunday we go out for a long run. And it was going quite well, and then unfortunately the runs are getting longer and longer and longer, and it's quite intimidating if you think about the numbers. But what's interesting is when I finish a long run on a Sunday and I've done, say, 10 miles, the first thing I think is there's no way I'll do 12 miles. And the next week you go and do 12 miles. And the next week you go and do 14 miles. It's amazing what your body can do when you just push yourself a little bit. And I think anybody who wants to run, you will really surprise yourself by how far you can push yourself. I'm planning to do 16, 17 miles this Sunday, and I'm terrified, but I think I'll probably be able to get over the line. And then we go again the next week.
And Baz, what's your runnings look like?
I'm laughing because I was remembering my the very first 5K run I did, and I really struggled, and it took me a good 5 or 6 runs to actually run 5 kilometers without stopping. And I remember being pushed along by a couple of friends and colleagues on the last lap of the 5K, and I did find it a struggle, I must admit. And then I did the 10K, and I struggled. I remember when I did the 10K, the Luton 10K, I remember coming home absolutely exhausted. I couldn't move for about 3 or 4 days. But, yes, it was like that. But I think, but with the sort of the right help and direction, I think for people like Talib who tell us actually that it's not just about running; it's about core strength. It's not about stretching. It's not about speed. And actually having adequate rest days as well. So unfortunately, I had a calf injury, and I had a bit of a late start, so I didn't really start training probably till about a month ago. But I've just gradually built up the distances. Start with 5K, then I moved to 8, then 10, then 14, then 18, then 20, and the last run I did was 25 kilometers.
Wow.
And I surprised myself by when I came, and I thought, Actually, I'm not going to collect. So yeah, I think as Monjo said, it is surprising how quickly your body adapts. It's not easy, by any stretch of imagination. There's some morning I think, do I really have to get out of bed and do this, and do I have to use the rollers to stretch my calves and so forth? And they are painful sometimes. But I think because we've got this the end goal, which is a marathon, but more importantly, actually, we're going to raise money for children with cancer. I think that's the inspiration, and that's what gets you out of bed. Even though you might see I'm not at home, this is my home. I'm at a cottage, and I thought actually, you got to keep training. So all day today I've been stretching and do some core strength, and even went for a little run, while on holiday. So it is a commitment, but the end goal is there. I still going to struggle to think how on earth I'm going to do 42 kilometers when I've got to do 5. So I think we'll just have to watch and see. But I will finish here. That's all I can say. Whether it's crawling or whatever.
And Doc, and Talib, you are the most senior runner among themselves, because you have run few marathons and half marathons, and you're a proper runner in that sense. Because sometimes when I see you running, I just feel extremely ashamed of myself and my physiques. So tell us about your journey in terms of weight training. I know, and also tell us about the journey of injury as well.
Well, I've always run at school and things, so I'm not a complete novice. So I've run, but not really long distances. So it was only when I broke my leg about 10 years ago that I thought I need to, if I don't start running properly now, then my leg won't heal properly. So I gradually started walking on my crutches, then walking without crutches, then do a mile, then 2 miles, 3 miles, do park runs. And then before you know it, you think, oh, I can do a bit of distance. Let me see if I can do a marathon. So we went and did a marathon. It took me a good 6 months of training, gradually building up. But it shows that if you gradually build up, you can achieve anything. So the key is, most of us are doing sit-down jobs. So, my muscles get tight without running. So what running does, if you get a goal, like Dr. Barry mentioned, is you've got something to aim for. You're more likely to do your stretches. You're more likely to do your gentle runs and start. And then the fact that we've got a charity to do as well, a marathon for us, we know October, that's it, finished. They've got years and years of treatment. So for them, their marathon is like ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. So the pain that we're going through is tiny compared to what they have. So for me, that's what keeps me going when you reach those mileage and you're struggling and you're completely exhausted, and you think, actually, this is what families have to go through. This is what children have to go through. This is what people with cancer, people with chronic disease have to go through every day. And in a way, that just pushes you through to say, well, actually, I know I'm going to stop in 20 minutes or half an hour or an hour, but these guys can't. And it really shows, for me as a doctor, the inner strength of some of our patients who have to go through chronic disease and chronic illness. And that's why I'm quite proud with what the guys I'm with, the four doctors, including Dr. Sophia, who's couldn't make it today, but also the Luton Lions, the other nearly 30 others. We all encourage each other, and they're all doing it for this cause, which is absolutely amazing.
So I must say we are really short on time, and we are going to end for that part of the show. But thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Any quick messages for our listeners?
Couch to 5K. It's an app. It's a brilliant way of starting.
And Baz?
Can we share the link so we can raise more money for the children with cancer?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, if you send me a text message, I'll share that link on the show as well, and definitely we can raise as much as we can for this absolutely amazing cause. And I must say, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It is an honor to have you both of you on the show, and definitely it's amazing to run for that long, especially when we are doing something like that, and the exercise and the commitment, because sometimes it's not easy to keep an eye on that bigger goal which we have. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that's all for this part of the show. When we come back after the break, we will be talking more about the circumcision, which is another topic. But next week, when we come back next week, I will have Dr. Bahi again. We will be talking about skin conditions. But stay tuned after the break. We will be back after these very short messages. Stay tuned.
Assalamu alaikum. Luton and surrounding areas. It is now time for Salat al-Asr.
लुटन और इसके मज़ाफ़ात में नमाज असर का वक्त हुआ चाहता है.
This Azan has been sponsored by Ideal Properties. Contact us on 01582 721110 or log on to www.idealpropertiesltd.co.uk.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
No. Who? Fahad?
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
Would you like to sponsor the Azan? If so, give us a call on 01582 481 810 or email us on info@inspirefm.org.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 6:30.
Any health advice given, whether general, diet, physical, or spiritual, is general only and must be verified by your doctor. If you need medical advice, please consult a doctor.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to another exciting and educating edition of the Health and Fitness Show. I'm your host, Fahad Matin, so I'm welcoming you back to the Health and Fitness Show. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This program is broadcasting live today on 19th of August 2021, and the time is just past 6:30. This program has been divided into two parts. And first part, just before the break, we heard from three of the four GPs who are running a London Marathon for the children with cancer and Cancer UK. Now, on the second part of the show, we will be talking about a very important topic, and that topic is circumcision with our very good colleague and a very good friend of the show, Dr Adil Ali-khan. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam, Fahad.
How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, very well. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you. So this program, as I said, is being broadcasting from the platform of Inspire FM today on 19th of August, and casting its positive vibes to all our lovely people in Luton and surrounding areas of Luton, like Dunstable, Harpen, and Bedford. And you can view us or hear us from our online platforms as well, from Inspire FM app or website, as well as the Facebook and YouTube channels of Inspire FM. As I said, that this part of the show we will be talking about a very important topic called circumcision. Now, one of the very things about this topic is that it is very unique, and unique in a sense that it's a major part of our religion as well. So that's why I thought, as due to COVID, we have more births in this era. So why don't we talk about something which is slightly different, which covers? So and I have no other buddy who can think about. I have no other person who can think about regarding this topic, and he is the expert, in my opinion, about this topic, because he is doing this work since many ages. But before that, I'll ask my very good friend, Dr Adil Ali-khan, to introduce himself. So, Doc, the floor is yours. Give us a quick introduction about yourself to our lovely listeners and viewers of Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Adil Ali-khan. I'm a GP in Luton. I've been a GP in Luton since 1992. I've been practicing religion circumcisions in Luton since 1995.
Wow.
Alhamdulillah. I first started doing circumcisions in the hospital, and then started doing it in the community because of the needs of our local Muslim population. I serve not only the local Muslim population, alhamdulillah, we have people who come to us from all over the country and all over Europe as well, alhamdulillah. And our clinic runs on a weekly basis, and alhamdulillah, we are very busy indeed.
Indeed. So one of the things which people do like to know, and if I'm not mistaken, because this is something which is always create confusion in people's mind, that what is circumcision? Because whenever the word circumcision comes in play, there are so many other misconceptions also comes in play as well. So give us a quick information about circumcision.
Okay. So basically, circumcision is a religious practice done in our religion, and it is the Sunnah. And that Sunnah literally means the way of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was given directions that he must follow the religion of Abraham, peace be upon him. And it was the practice of circumcision was given to Prophet Ibrahim, and this is why we do it as a result. As I said, this is the Sunnah. It is not strictly farz, but it is Sunnah, and it's advised for many health reasons. Now, circumcision is done not only by members of our religion. It's done by the people who practice the Jewish faith, and quite a few people who practice Christianity as well, because it is in the Old Testament, and as I said, it is the practice, the covenant of Hazrat Ibrahim, peace be upon him. There are quite a few Christians in the Western world who do not do it, but you'll find there are quite a few Christians, mainly within Africa, who do. Another major continent that practice circumcision is Northern America. So you'll find that quite a few people in Northern America, in the US, are circumcised as well. As I said, we circumcise for mainly religious reasons, but because we have religious reasons, the reason why we have to do circumcision is purely because of the health benefits that it bestows to us. So, and this is the controversial bit. There are a lot of people who will say there are no health benefits and that it's genital mutilation. But the American Academy of Pediatrics have actually put out an article saying that the benefits of circumcision outweigh any possible risks of circumcision. Okay, so, and that's an article published by the American Academy of Pediatricians. So, as far as the medical benefits of circumcision, what circumcision is the practice whereby we actually remove the foreskin from around the tip of the penis, thereby permanently exposing the tip of the penis. This should be typically done early on. Basically, the sunnah is around 7 to 8 days, but that's not always possible. So we try to do it. Most of our babies come to us. The majority are within a month. The vast majority are within 2 months. But unfortunately, religious practice and cultural practices do get mixed up, and we have a lot of Muslims that present their children anywhere between the age of 7, 8, 9, up to the age of 13 or 14 years old.
Wow.
And as I said, this is where cultural practices get mixed up with religious practices as well. Okay, obviously, it is best to do it when your boy is a baby, and if you do it when they're very, very small, when they're neonates, the nerves aren't fully developed, so they don't actually feel that much pain, and they heal very, very fast as well. So they'll heal in about 7 days.
So, Doc, in terms of, because as you said, you are doing this practice almost like more than 30 years now, plus minus. So you pretty much you have seen the babies. You have done the circumcision of Luton. They're now grown men, and their kids have now get their circumcised as well.
Alhamdulillah, I'm going to the weddings of the boys at the beginning, mashallah. And I'm circumcising their offspring, the second generation. So alhamdulillah.
Wow. So I'd just like to invite our listeners as well. So if you have any questions and queries regarding the topic circumcision, please do give us a call on. Please do send us your questions via text message or WhatsApp on 07779 481822. I repeat, 07779 481822. We will receive phone calls soon once we start doing our shows back in the studio. But today we are just taking text messages or WhatsApp messages. So, Doc, in terms of the age, you said the best age to get circumcised is very early. So, what age you said the best age will be when the veins when it will? Does the baby feel it at that age?
Ideally, it's best to do it within the first week or two. Okay, but as I said, it's not always possible. If your child is born in America, the boy is circumcised within the first 1 or 2 days before they even leave the hospital, and it's offered routinely in quite a few states in America. So the earlier you do it, the better. Purely because the nerves are not fully developed, so your child does not feel so much discomfort, and actually heals a lot faster as well. Because the earlier you do the circumcision, the thinner the skin, the quicker the healing process will be, obviously. So the longer you leave it, the older the boy, the thicker the skin. The thicker the skin, the longer it will take to heal. So during these summer periods, I am inundated with boys anywhere between 5, 6, 12, 13, 14 years old. So obviously they can take up to 3 or 4 weeks to heal in some cases, the older boys.
Okay, wow, wow. So in terms of the misconceptions, you said that in America it has been done in 2 days. Why we do not follow the same lines? Why NHS don't offer the same practice?
I think, look, historically, well, you have to go back to how circumcision was viewed in Europe. So basically, when the Catholics took over the Christian faith, the Romans did not like the idea of circumcision, so they wrote it out of the Catholic Bible. And if you look at the predominant type of Christianity within Europe has always been Catholicism. So that is one reason why circumcision was never practiced within Europe, for that reason. If you go to the States, it's a different story. Quite a few, they have a very high Jewish population, and quite a few of the hospitals initially were run by Jews as well. So circumcision was done on a routine basis in America for that reason. Up to recently, your child was automatically circumcised in the States, in quite a few states within the US, but now you do need to actually sign a consent form whether you want it done or not in the US.
Okay. In terms of the one of the things which people do like to know is the healing process. Now, if a baby had a circumcision, or if an adult having a circumcision, what's the healing time difference, and what does it take? How long it takes to get it healed?
So typically, if a baby has a circumcision, a newborn baby, the healing time is 5 to 7 days if it's done in about a week, 10 days, and it slowly increases. So babies up to 2 months take 7 to 10 days. Over 2 months, they can take 10 to 12 days. It goes up in increments as they get older. 1-year-old can take up to 2 weeks. When you're talking about 13 or 14-year-old, you can take 3 to 4 weeks to get better. And that's the same with an adult as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in terms of, sorry, sir, you're saying something.
No, I wasn't.
So in terms of the aftercare, so is there any special aftercare needed?
So for babies, what I recommend is the application of Sudocrem on the tip. And that's only because Sudocrem is an antiseptic. It prevents infection. It's a healing agent, so it actually speeds up the healing process. And it will also decrease the sensitivity of the tip. I mean, don't forget, this is the first time the tip of the penis will be exposed in many babies. So it can be a bit sensitive. Sudocrem will help decrease that sensitivity. We do offer paracetamol for babies as well, especially those for their age. You start bathing the baby the next day as well. And as I said, in babies, I use something called the plastibell ring, which I fit on, and the ring falls off itself, as I said, usually around 7 days after that. So any patient that I see has my personal mobile number. They have direct access to me 24/7. And alhamdulillah, I hardly ever get called because in most cases, everything goes quite well. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Now, in terms of the medical reason of circumcision, there are adults who normally get circumcised as well for medical reason. So, is it quite common for adults to get circumcised, and what are those medical reasons when an adult have to get it circumcised?
So, one of the medical indications for circumcision is a very, very tight foreskin, which doesn't pull back very, very easily. And if it does go back, it's very, very painful. It can constrict the penis, and that's something called phimosis. So that's one medical indication for circumcision. The other medical indication for circumcision is what we call balanitis, recurrent balanitis, which is an infection, an inflammation of the tip of the penis. And that can be secondary to a very tight foreskin as well. So those are the two medical reasons for circumcision. in children and adults. As far as the medical benefits of circumcision is that people demonstrated that you do have a decreased incidence of urinary tract infection. In populations which have circumcision, there is a decreased incidence of HIV, a decreased incidence of penile cancer as well, and also a decreased incidence of cervical cancer. So the partners of the man who's had the circumcision, they would have a decreased incidence of cervical cancer.
Wow!
So those are the
Wow!
main health benefits.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing, because sometimes these kind of things normally been not looked at, not taken count of, especially when we talk about these kind of prevention sites. So in terms of the aftercare, when we talk,
Just say something there. So
yes,
the controversy would be that a lot of people would say that the population of people who would have circumcision tend to be conservatively minded, okay? So therefore they would automatically have a decreased incidence of HIV, decreased incidence of cervical cancer as well. So that's the counter argument. So I've got to put both sides of the argument just to be fair,
So, okay, I'm a bit confused. So, can it prevent cancer?
It depends which articles you read. Most articles say yes, you do have a decreased incidence of penile cancer and cervical cancer in populations where the men have been circumcised.
And you just mentioned that it can reduce the sexually transmitted infections as well, like STIs or HIV or AIDS as well.
Yeah. Now it doesn't stop. So you mustn't get the two confused. It doesn't stop the transmission of sexual. It can decrease the transmission of infections like HIV.
So, in terms of the precautions, so once somebody has circumcised, so is there any things which you should not do after getting circumcised, especially the babies?
Well, as far as babies are concerned, is you can change the nappies normally, clean them, and you treat them normally for all intents and purposes. It's the older children. So, obviously, we try to tell mums and dads, look, please make sure they're not running around and jumping around. So they run around and jump around and fall over. They can hurt themselves. They can. Do not put them in baby bouncers. These are things that you must not do. And obviously, just take care of them. The older boys, as I say, I do stipulate that they must rest. They can walk around gently, but they must not be running around and jumping around, please, whilst they're recovering.
So, in your personal opinion, what kind of problems you see patients who do not get circumcised, so people who do not get circumcised, what kind of problems they see later on in their ages?
So, I mean, in uncircumcised populations, they will automatically have a higher incidence of things like balanitis, and that's only because they don't have the foreskin. They will have a percentage of people who will have a tight foreskin, okay, and therefore you will get a higher incidence of infections such as balanitis because of that, and also phimosis, which is the tightness of the foreskin as well.
And will it affect one's performance in that department?
If you have recurrent balanitis infections, I mean, it can do in the future, and this is why if you have recurrent infections such as balanitis, that is a medical indication for circumcision, and therefore you will be referred under the NHS for that. And if you do have a tight foreskin, that can cause problems if it's not operated on. It can be a very painful condition indeed. Very painful condition indeed.
So, in terms of the age-wise, how early you have so what is the earliest age you have done the circumcision, and what's the latest age of circumcised people you have dealt with?
The earliest I've done is 3 days. The oldest I've done is 62 years old. Mashallah.
Wow. Mashallah. Mashallah.
And even his mother said, why?
Yeah, well, this topic is very, very unique as well, because this is something which people really hard to talk about, because they know about this thing, and they always feel shy to talk about in open, and that's one of the reason when the male child is born, especially in our community, we were not sure who to go to, where to go to, and who to ask, where to get information. So these kind of things are really, really hard to get by.
It is important. I mean, when I first, just up to about 10, 15 years ago, you would have found that mainly the Bengali community would have been bringing their sons much older. A vast majority, I would have been inundated completely. But I start slowly but surely, the Bengali community are bringing their children in a lot earlier, and things are changing in that respect. But there are other various communities within our Muslim Brotherhood which were a bit slower to adapt. You'll find that the Somalis are still leaving it a little bit later. You'll find that the Turkish community are still leaving just that little bit later. But again, things are changing. Things are changing. Things are changing. There's one small area of people who are a bit reluctant to change are the Kenyan community, whereby typically their boys would be circumcised for cultural reasons around the age of 13, 14 years old, because they see it as transition into manhood. So this time of year, I would be doing a lot of boys, Kenyan boys, around 13, 14 years old. But in explaining this to the parents, slowly but surely, the message will be getting through that, look, if you're going to get your son circumcised, please try to do it a lot earlier, because it's just so much easier for the boy.
So in terms of the appointment now, that's something which, if, like, for example, if a person have a child like tomorrow, a male child, and he wanted to get circumcised, so what he need to do? Can he call you directly, or how can one get in? What's the lead time?
So basically, I have a clinic on the Westbourne Road, and alhamdulillah, we've been there for many, many, many years. And you can call the clinic directly. I've got a mobile number which I can give out, and they'll answer, and you can get booked in. The waiting time varies depending on the time of year. This time of year, because we get inundated with older boys, the waiting time can be a little bit longer, about 4 to 6 weeks. But then when that goes down, we go down to about 2 weeks waiting time. We get people primarily around this area, Luton, Bedfordshire, and London. But people do come to us as far as from Wales, Scotland, and Ireland as well.
And because it's a private practice, so how much it charges? What's the cost of this particular service?
So for a newborn baby, we charge £150, and that is all inclusive. That's a one-off price, and no matter how many times you call me, there is no additional price. If I do need to see your son afterwards, there's no additional price at all. So alhamdulillah, we find that £150 is a price that most people are willing to pay. Most circumcision clinics actually charge more than that. I try to keep it low because, we're doing it for religious reasons, so you don't want to be extortionate.
Exactly. And older boys.
Sorry.
And the older boys.
As the boys get older, the price does increase. So boys over 5 months old, it goes up to 180. Then over 2 years old, it's 220. So it goes up in increments as the boy gets older. And the reason why that is, they'll need more anesthetic, they'll need antibiotics, and of course, because they take longer to heal, my follow-up process would be longer as well.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us today. And unfortunately, we are running out of time. A very quick message from you.
Yes, look, if you're wanting to have your son circumcised, please, the earlier you do it, the better. That is the single most important thing. The contact number for my clinic is 07484 515 856. So at 07484 515 856. You can call directly, the ladies will answer, and you can get booked in.
And at the moment, it's the wait time is 3 weeks, so be patient as well. Indeed. So thank you so much, Adil, for joining us and sharing your wise wisdom with us. And definitely, we will see you again. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Fahad. You take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, salam. So if you listeners, if you miss any part of the show, please don't worry. You can always view the whole thing up on our Facebook page anytime you like. And until next time, if you have any questions, just remember us in your duas. And definitely, it is always a pleasure to be part of the show. So stay tuned and remember us in your duas. Until next time, I'm your host Fahad Matin saying Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.